Well, guess what? Roald Dahl, yes, that's how you say his name. I can prove it if you write to me or look it up yourself. Um, in this book that I just read, The Fantastic Mr. Fox, there's an additional story Roald gave us. And this is called The Giraffe and the Pelly and Me. So it's a giraffe, a pelican, and a little monkey. So it's kind of, well, we'll see. It's a great story. I love it. Not far from where I live, there's a queer old empty wooden house standing all by itself on the side of the road. I long to explore inside it, but the door is always locked, and when I peer through a window, all I can see is darkness and dust. I know the ground floor used once to be a shop because I can read the faded lettering across the front, which says, The Grubber. My mother has told me that in our part of the country, in the olden days, a grubber was another name for a sweet shop, a candy store. And now every time I look at it, I think to myself what a lovely old sweet shop it must have been. On the shop window itself, somebody has painted in white the words, For Sale. One morning, I noticed that For Sale had been scraped off the shop window, and in its place, somebody had painted Sold. I stood there staring at the new writing and wishing like mad that it had been me who had bought it, because then I would have been able to make it into a grubber all over again. I have always longed and longed to own a sweet shop. The sweet shop of my dreams would be loaded from top to bottom with sherbet suckers and caramel fudge and Russian toffee and sugar snorters and butter gumballs and thousands of other glorious things like that. Oh boy, what I wouldn't have done with that old grubber shop if it had been mine. On my next visit to the grubber, I was standing across the road gazing at the wonderful old building when suddenly an enormous bathtub came sailing out through one of the second floor windows and crashed right onto the middle of the road. Here's what it looked like in this drawing. Crashed in the middle of the road. Scary. A few moments later, a white porcelain lavatory pan with the wooden seat still on it came flying out of the same window and landed with a wonderful splintering crash just beside the bathtub. This was followed by a kitchen sink and an empty canary cage and 4-poster bed and 2 hot water bottles and a rocking horse and a sewing machine and goodness knows what else besides. Do you want to see what that looks like? There's some drawings of everything that you can imagine. It looked as if some madman was ripping out the whole of the inside of the house, because now pieces of staircase and bits of the banisters and a whole lot of old floorboards came whistling through the windows. Then there was silence. I waited and waited, but not another sound came from within the building. I crossed the road and stood right under the windows and called out, "Is anybody home?" There was no answer. In the end, it began to get dark, so I had to turn away and start walking home. But you can bet your life nothing was going to stop me from hurrying back there again tomorrow morning to see what the next surprise was going to be. When I got back to the grubber house the next morning, the first thing I noticed was the new door. The dirty old brown door had been taken out, and in its place, someone had fitted a brand new red one. The new door was fantastic. It was twice as high as the other one had been, and it looked ridiculous. I couldn't begin to imagine who would want a tremendous tall door like that in his house unless it was a giant. As well as this, somebody had scraped away the sold notice on the shop window, and now there was a whole lot of different writing all over the glass. I stood there reading it, and I was trying to figure out what on earth it all meant. I tried to to catch some sign or sound of movement inside the house, but there was none. Until, all of a sudden, out of the corner of my eye, I noticed that one of the windows on the top floor was slowly began to open outwards. Then a head appeared at the open window. I stared at the head. The head stared back at me with big, round, dark eyes. Suddenly, a second window was flung wide open, and of all the crazy things, a giant white bird hopped out and perched on the windowsill. I knew what this one was because of its amazing beak, which was shaped like a huge orange-colored basin. The pelican looked down at me and sang out, "Oh, how I wish for a big fat fish. I'm as hungry as ever could be. A dish of a fish is my only wish. How far are we from the sea?" "We're a long way from the sea," I called back to him. "But there is a fishmonger in the village not far away." "A fish what?" "A fishmonger." "Now, what on earth would that be?" asked the pelican. "I've heard of a fish pie and a fish cake and a fish finger, but I have never heard of a fishmonger. Are these mongers good to eat?" The question baffled me a bit, so I said, "Hey, who's your friend in the next window?" "Oh, she's the giraffe," the pelican answered. "Is she not wonderful? Her legs are on the ground floor and her head is looking out the top window." As if this wasn't enough, the window on the first floor was now flung wide open, and out popped a monkey. The monkey stood on the windowsill and did a jiggly little dance. He was so skinny he seemed to be made out of just furry bits of wire, but he danced wonderfully well, and I clapped and cheered and did a little dance myself in return. Who could help it? "We are the window cleaners," sang out the monkey. "We will polish your glass till it shines like brass and it sparkles like sun on the sea. We are quick and polite, we will come day or night, the giraffe and the Pelly and Me. We're a fabulous crew, we know just what to do, and we never stop work to drink tea. All your windows will glow when we give them a go, the giraffe and the Pelly and Me. We use water and soap, plus some kindness and hope, but we never use ladders, not we. Who needs ladders at all when you're 30 feet tall? Not giraffe and not Pelly, not me." Good song. I stood there enthralled. Then I heard the giraffe saying to the pelican in the next window, "Pelly, my dear, be so good as to fly down and bring that small person up here to talk to us." At once, the pelican spread his huge white wings and flew down on the road beside me. "Hop in," he said, opening his enormous beak. I stared at the great orange beak and backed away. "Go on," the monkey shouted from his window. "The Pelly isn't going to swallow you. Climb in." I said to the pelican, "I'll only get in if you promise not to shut your beak once I'm inside." "You have nothing to fear," cried Pelican. And he sang a song again. "And let me tell you why I have a very special beak. A special beak have I. You'll never see a beak so fine. I don't care where you go. There's magic in this beak of mine. Hop in and don't say no." And this is him looking into the beak. And he's scared it'll close on him. So, he wasn't sure. He said, "I will not hop in," I said, "unless you swear on your honor that you won't shut it once I'm inside. I don't like small, dark places." "When I have done what I'm about to do," said the pelican, "I won't be able to shut it. You don't seem to understand how my beak works." "Show me," I said. "Watch this," said the pelican. I watched in amazement as the top half of the pelican's beak began to slide smoothly backwards into his head until the whole thing was almost out of sight. "It bends and goes down inside the back of my neck," cried the pelican. "Is that not sensible? Is that not magical?" And here's a picture of how it goes. So see, it just goes back until it's just this big, like a big bucket. "It's unbelievable," I said. "It's exactly like one of those metal tape measures my father's got at home. When it's out, it's straight. When you slide it back in, it bends and disappears." "Precisely," said the pelican. "You see, the top half of it is no use to me unless I'm chewing fish. The bottom half is what counts, my lad. The bottom half of this glorious beak of mine is the bucket in which we carry out our window cleaning water. So if I didn't slide the top halfway, I'd be standing around all day long holding it open." And then he sang again. "So I slide it away for the rest of the day. Even so, I'm still able to speak. And wherever I've flown, it has always been known as the pelican's patented beak. If I want to eat fish, that's my favorite dish. All I do is give it a tweak. In the blink of an eye, out it pops, and they cry, 'Ah, it's the pelican's patented beak.'" The end. So that's the great thing about our imaginations. We can just figure out, I can picture it. He gets in the beak, he feels safe, and he gets in and he goes up, and those animals become his best friends, and they even let him sometimes help them clean windows for people. What great friends! Now the question is, would you rather have it be a candy store or a place where you have friends that are a giraffe and a pelican and a monkey? It's a tough choice. Thanks for listening. I'll see you next time. Bye.